Hello, I am Debra, licensed marriage and family therapist. Wait another minute before I start. Thank you for joining. Take a few moments. I'll just wait another minute to get into your body, get settled, get comfortable. I aim to keep these 30 minutes, although I could go on for an hour, but I'm usually talking for the first 15 and then definitely doing a different exercise. Today I'm going to do a loving kindness meditation, a beginner's one, because actually if we did the full one, we would need like 30 minutes. We'd need the whole hour to do that. So I'm just going to introduce that. But thank you for coming on. Looks like my sound is working. I was actually just editing a video I did on the jar demonstration, which I kind of keep weaving in, which I'll weave in again today. But I did more of a talk on the jar demonstration, and my microphone had gone out. I didn't charge it fully, and so I had to edit it. And actually, that kind of inspired a little bit more what I want to talk about because I was doing that last night, and I'm not an editor. That is not my strength. So it took me a while. But welcome, Deborah, licensed marriage and family therapist, and kind of in the nutshell, although I am specialized in therapy, I'm first and foremost showing up as a human being with a nervous system, as we all have one. This is why my talks are relevant, because we all have a nervous system. I encourage you going back to my other talks where I describe more in detail what I kind of have a title for each of these that I'm going through. And today I want to talk about energy, epigenetics, positive resourcing, and the loving kindness meditation. And do that in 30 minutes. Go. So last week I actually talked about on Thursday, I'm doing this Tuesdays and Thursdays, I talked about transgenerational trauma. I shared a story about my dyeing my hair purple, and my mom has recently died. And so that's going to weave in all today, but also when you look at so we all personally have our own stuff. So this is why I have dirt in this jar. We all have a history. We all have our own dirt and crud and crap going on in our lives and things we have not processed. And then as a society, we have gone through a pandemic. We have wars going on, and specifically in America where I'm at, there's massive change. And trauma is anything that happens too fast, too much, too soon, for our unique nervous system. And that's specific to anybody. And then when you have no safe place to process, express, and make sense of it, that is when we have dysfunction, dis-ease. That is when we call all the feedback loops. We have a physiological neuro to our connections, get disruption, and cause heaps of problems. And so that's why it's important to make time to pause and process. And at bare minimum, processing is just identifying, witnessing, noticing what's coming up. So, oh my gosh, I have so much I want to share. But as I mentioned, as I was re-editing the video on the jar, because again, this is why, as you see this, we get shaken up, things are happening. We are in 24/7 constant stuff being thrown at our nervous system to have to process and make sense of. And that's why we have judgment. Judgment is actually a fast, easy way to process. So even though I say be non-judgmental, fundamentally, to save time and to preserve well-being, we do judge. So that just want to put that out there. But and we get cluttered. It's hard to think and see clearly. So I'll put this up here so you can see why we need to sit, pause, so that things can settle and we can think more clearly. But as I was re-editing that video, my intention was, because so much is happening in my life and in the world, and especially in my country, I need an outlet to process and express. And yet on that last jar demonstration, when I did it about a week and a half ago, I also know that in healing and in any growth and learning, agency and consent, empowerment are vital. And so a part of me feels a little like I'm providing this. My hope is to provide this safe space to pause and process. Yet I know that some of my beliefs and some of my thoughts could be triggering or activating for some people. And so, so as I exploring, sharing some more as I want to reflect on some things and talk about neuroscience and how they relate. I don't want to. I also don't want to make people uncomfortable. So I want to give people choice and agency and consent. So I have made a decision that my Tuesday talks are going to have a more political slant to them. I am going to address politics from a neuroscience and therapeutic point of view. Whereas my Thursday talks, I'm going to keep them with, I'm going to keep that commentary or any of my reflections on the greater society and keep it more general. And without that, so that you can know when you show up on Thursdays, I won't bring up anything that's political because again, it is everywhere, and we also need breaks from it. So that is what I'm going to move forward as well. I've also, if you've seen my book, I share my book all the time. And actually, I know it was Women's History Month, and it just occurred to me again, my mom recently passed away. I have so much to do in my life, but I have so much going on. Um, and I decided I actually wanted to lower the cost of my book for promote women and support women, and I actually went to the price of 1920, as 1920 was actually the year that women were allowed to vote legally all around. Some states allowed it sooner. 1920. Just think about that. I'll share a link about some specific dates. But also, I want to give a head my images. I have not shared it today, but of my book, I wouldn't have done it with two amazing women in my life. Uh, my editor was Kelly Bickerton, who did an amazing job keeping me on task. I get distracted and doing so much things that I could not do because we all have our own skills and bring our own goodness. And then Sonia Reed, who's an amazing photographer, and did the illustration. So just want to give a shout out. Again, we need everybody. We need all human beings uniquely wherever they are. But I want to promote women, and so on my website you can buy my book, and I've lowered the price just to show that. And I'm going to continue to offer more because I want to. My book is about promoting love and safety. So I'm going to show the image that actually is. My tag is all these emotions, and I titled this talk about energy because emotions are energy in motion. And so, these numbers on the side represent frequencies, and the goal is we would like to be up here. We'd like, if you see, there's markings here: creative energy, courage is where our power begins. Um, we would like to spend more time up here. But just like everything I teach, we'd like to be more vagal. We'd like to be more self-led. We'd, we'd like to be more in our window of tolerance and feeling calm and connected. However, as I work with everybody, we're human. And so we are going to have emotions. And like, grief, if you notice, is at the bottom, and fear and anger. Like, it's not possible to be a human being and not feel those things. We actually need fear. And obviously, if someone you love or something that you've been desiring and wanting doesn't happen, you're going to feel grief. And it's so important. And that's why I talk a lot about compassion in all my talks, not to shame and judge your feelings, like acceptance, radical acceptance. That's all these things can have different talks, but our goal is to be more in the upper areas. And so I'm going to share links. I share link whenever I talk. I share links if you're curious. I love learning. Which I'll share something else I just learned when we started breathing. But before that, I want to also talk about epigenetics. So I talked about transgenerational trauma last time. Epigenetics relates to all this because epigenetics is the ability to influence gene expression. And we actually can. So a lot of people think, oh, it's in my genes, I can't change it. No, actually you can. And I love the work by Bruce Lipton. He did 3 petri dishes where he put in the cells that what they were meant to grow, and he adjusted the climates, and the ones that were in the climate they're meant to be in, grew into the cells they were meant to be. So one was bone. I forgot what the other one was. I think it was muscle. They grew into be bone and muscle. Whereas the one that was, again, meant to be what it was meant to be actually turned into fat. And that's why fat is a way that our body doesn't, it can't, it's too much toxins, too much we can't process, then wraps fat around it and stores it until we make time, which is a more reason, again, looking at my chart, why we need to make time to pause and process. But epigenetics is that we can, by our environment, influence, turn on the gene expression or turn it off. And so, why love, peace, acceptance, willingness, courage, like neutral, like why we need to feel safe, seen, soothed, and secure. I mentioned that a lot in secure attachment. As our nervous system is development, we need to feel safe, seen, soothed, and secure. Our environment matters. How we're being spoken to matters. What is happening matters. To build your nervous system, to create a holistic and healthy integrated nervous system so we may function and be our best. And so that's what I mean. It's the potential. We are barely living our potential. So I want to promote really healthy, safe environments no matter what. And again, that starts here with you. And that's why I'm starting with you. Like, even though there's a lot of anger. There's a lot of reasons to be angry. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to feel grief. It's better. That's why I even have I have a lot of videos, but one of my very first ones was a very quick description on positive reframe. And positive actually does not mean to be positive all the time. It's not actually realistic. That actually can create positive toxic positivity. Woo. Which then toxins build up. And so starting with yourself, that's why that noticing, it makes sense that I'm feeling this way based on what's happening in and around my life. And then that helps you move through so that you can feel more of that softness and acceptance and that you want to move through this. So that's why, like, even if you're feeling shame, if we can feel guilt, that's actually a step above. That's good. That's progress. And then we want to move through guilt, through apathy and grief. We want to move to fear. Like, it's good. Like, moving up is good. So that's why you don't want to judge if you're feeling angry, because that's moving through it. And I'll talk more about polyvagal theory because that's also ladder moving through. But again, so much to keep listening. Stay tuned. I hope. um, but that's and so what I want to talk about, like why I'm going to walk us through loving kindness meditation today, is because there's so much we can't control in our life. And it's so important to have anchors and resources that make our body feel light and loved in peace, like all those things up here. And I actually just had the opportunity to be with an energy healer, and they had asked, what is a moment? And I do this for myself, I do this for clients, but it's nice when someone does it for me because I'm often doing it for everybody else. So it's nice when someone said, hey, what's a moment that you feel that love and you feel like what helps you get out of bed? What is that inspires you? And I would say, when my dog and cat are cuddling, oh my gosh, I'll share a picture too, because they didn't get along. Again, I'm going to share, I rescued this dog who does not get along with other dogs, especially if they're larger than him. And so I was nervous about the cat coming, but I thought, well, the cat being small, maybe that'll help. And I've shared stories. This cat actually, I believe, is my mother's energy, that it showed up the day my mother died at my sister's home. My sister already had a dog and a cat, and she gave me Babs, the cat. My mom's name was Barbara. We did find out it was a boy eventually. It was a kitten. Discovered it's a boy, but Babs is the most coolest cat I've ever had, and it's like represents amazingness. So this dog that I rescued, Carmelo, just will go at him. Just again, did not like him at all initially, and it was very stressful. We had to plan my mom's memorial, or dealing with all my mom's stuff. I had all my family members coming up, so it was very stressful for my dog. And he was attacking the cat, and I was like, oh my gosh, and I had doubt, but I had this knowing in my gut. I was like, I do believe this. Once everything settles and I get my space, my peaceful space back, I believe this is going to work out. And it was rough. I did. and, um, and it worked out. I have so many moments, especially at nighttime. They both sleep together with me on my bed, and it's just they cuddle. And this cat, like even just the most recent, doesn't Carmela still attacks around food and toys. And Carmela, we're playing fetch. Carmela goes after the cat, and the cat never fights back. Like unbelievable. And I believe nonviolence. That's what I love to promote. And the cat gets away and still doesn't like run and hide. Like this cat is confident, like still stays within the room where Carmelo is, and I give attention, you give attention to who what you want to, I still love, obviously it's different with animals versus kids. If it was kids, you still want to, there's a saying, give attention, go to the one who was hurt first, but the one who offended also has valid needs and needs care and attention. So, I still love Carmel. I still know Carmel's stress and acting out, and he has a history that I know nothing about. Um, but anyways, so I loved how Babs like went up, and then even like after like a minute or so, Carmelo then comes the dog into the room, and Babs goes within a foot, like just lays down a foot next to Carmel. And this is often what I tell parents to do. I tell because kids fight us, even though they need us, they fight us. They have to fight us. And I tell parents, lower your body image, lower your tone, lower your physical presence, sit down within a respectful range to your child. And you just want to convey that you're there for them. Don't do too much. We often do, right? We try to fix it, then we get mad. They're not listening to us. Blah blah. Um, oh my gosh, I love humans. There's so much complexity there, and it actually all does make sense. But I was just like, Babs is so cool that Babs like just naturally just does this, and then they're fine. But that's so when this energy healer, I'm like, that is like when I see them two cuddling and them working, like being in relationship because they fought like cats and dogs. And it gives me such hope, and it just warms my heart whenever I see them together. I'm a little sad because I'm going to have to leave them, but for very good reasons. Um, to spend awesome time with my daughter in New Zealand, the land that I have appreciated so much. But that anchors me. And so when I talk about, I do a lot about listening to our body. Um, and that's actually called, I've described neuroception in previous talks. That's our being able to perceive cues of threat or safety. Interoception is that ability to listen to the cues within our body. And that is, again, what I'm really wanting to help people, because it's unfortunately, we don't get that opportunity. We're meant to. If child development unfolded in the way without all the um, distractions, and I think that's a whole other talk. We would have that natural connection, and it would be much easier. But unfortunately, we have so many toxins in this modern day and age, and so much interruption to that feedback loop that we actually now unfortunately need to learn it. So that's what I teach and help role model, facilitate. So with all that talking, I am now going to be quiet and help walk us through some breathing and introduce the loving kindness so that you can find your anchor, that when you are feeling overwhelmed and stressed, that you can call up upon a resource, a positive resource that makes your body, mind, spirit, nervous system feel love and ease. So take a few moments and breathe. And if you consciously breathe it in deeply and exhale long through your mouth, consciousness just means with awareness, intention. You know you're doing this. And sadly, so much of what we do is unconscious or subconscious. So that's why I promote consciousness. And just to start off, actually, like I said, I'm always learning and I'm reading. I'm always reading and learning. I love learning. I just heard a tip that, like, if you can feel your heartbeat right now, like, just notice if you can feel your heartbeat. Can you feel a sense of like pulsing? And it's okay if you can't, because actually, then that's just signals. That's just letting you know that that's actually why it's more important that this is showing that you do need to learn this. This is a skill. You haven't had the opportunities in your life to do this. And so when I read about it, it was given as a tip saying, like, you'll know therapy is going to go easier um, and move more quickly if that client can feel their heartbeat, because that shows that they have a level of interoception awareness of their interoception system. Um, and if they're not, then that just means it's going to take longer. And there's more barriers to that. And so I was like, oh, that's so cool to know. Now I'm going to do that in my intake sessions. That's going to help me. So again, it's not about right or wrong. It's about gathering data so that we can also normalize and not, because people can get frustrated. I do have clients like, I don't know what you're talking about. Listen to my body. So it's okay to feel frustrated. Or this feels agitating, to pause and listen, and you're not quite knowing what to do. So breathe into that. And now I'm just going to I'm going to read the words of this. So like I said, this would normally take longer, but so what I want you to do is put your hands on your heart, and I want you to remind yourself that you are bringing not only attention, but loving attention to your experience. And again, keep breathing. If you get distracted, that happens. Take a breath and exhale. And I want you to feel the warmth of your hands and the gentle pressure of your hands, and feel how your chest rises and falls beneath your hands with every breath. And interesting enough, you may notice that heart beating more now with your hand there. And again, no biggie if you're not, but you may notice that. And if you're not noticing it, again, that's more reason for you to give yourself compassion, because that means you didn't get that opportunity, that space, that grace, that knowing to connect to this. And now I want you to bring to mind, um, actually, before I say that, you can keep your hand here if that's comfortable, or you can lay your hands down. Again, no right or wrong. Um, Listen to your body. So bring it to mind a person or a living being who naturally makes you smile. This could be a child, your grandmother, your cat, your dog, as I described, whomever naturally brings happiness to your heart. It could even be a bird or a squirrel outside your window. Let yourself feel what it's like to be in that presence, that being's presence, and allow yourself to enjoy that good company. And again, your mind may wander. Notice that. Let it flow away in the wind and bring your attention back to your breath and the presence of that being that warms your heart, makes you smile. Now recognize how vulnerable this loved one is, just like you. It is subject to sickness, aging, and death. Also, this being wishes to be happy and free from suffering, just like you and every other living being. And I want you to repeat softly, feeling the importance of these words. And some may feel more resonant and some not so. And just go with the flow. Just notice. May you be safe. May you be peaceful. May you be healthy. May you live with ease. Again, notice if your mind has wandered, return to the words and image of the loved one in mind. Savor the warm feelings. And this is like you're saying this to them. May you be safe. May you be peaceful. May you be healthy. May you live with ease. Now I want you to add yourself to this circle of goodwill. And if it feels comfortable, put your hand on your heart to feel that warmth and gentle pressure of your hand. If that feels natural. If not, you can keep your hand down. I do love touching my heart. It does anchor me and help me. And now I'm going to repeat these words. May you and I be safe. May you and I be peaceful. May you and I be healthy. May you and I live with ease. Visualize your whole body in your mind's eye. Notice any stress or uneasiness that may be lingering within you and offer kindness to yourself. So it's not uncommon for a negative event to show up or a distraction. That's normal. Just notice that and again, offer kindness to yourself. And I'm going to say some more phrases that you are going to say to yourself now. May I be safe. May I be peaceful. May I be healthy. May I live with ease. Now take a few breaths and just rest quietly in your own body, savoring the goodwill and the compassion that flows naturally from your own heart. And know that you can return to this phrases and this sense of warmth in your heart anytime you wish, and that connection you have with that being that you selected that makes you smile and lights you up. And they may not all the time, but you can definitely anchor in those special sacred moments because that's what we want to promote more of. And if I do tend to close my eyes, I did forget at the beginning to invite you to close them or keep them open. You do whatever feels comfortable. Apologize, I did not offer that. Again, I'm human and going through a lot, and we're going to make mistakes. Actually, I don't know if you could see. Let's see if you can see. Oh, there it is over there. For big mistakes. You see my big eraser over there? I actually sought that out because I work with kids. I work with all ages, but I had a kiddo tell me that he loved that his counselor at school had that big eraser and like they were able to touch it when they showed into the room. I was like, I want one of those. Um, uh, now I'm distracted because I see the symbol. I have so much symbolism that I surround myself because my environment, because there is so much I cannot control that this is my happy space, this sunroom, and so I select things that light me up. And we learn the word triggers a lot, which I haven't talked much about, but I'm sure you've heard about them. But glimmers are things that light us up. And so when I was sharing that research about Bruce Lipton, why our environments matter, I mean, our relationships are part of our environment. That's why I focus can make a difference in our inner world, it starts here, our spaces, and then every system and that we engage with. And so Tuesday, I will talk more about the greater society and what's going on and share neuroscience and express a little bit more there. And then Thursday, I'm going to keep these more neutral. uh, I will work on that there. Yet I need to show up for myself too. I have the right. And much of my life, I shared in my last talk, I have had to remain silent. And one thing I'm learning is it's okay to speak. And no, I don't want to harm people. I don't want to make people uncomfortable. But I also trust that I trust myself that I do things in a way that's compassionate and loving and respectful. And yeah, we're still gonna get uncomfortable because we're humans, and a lot of this reality is uncomfortable and out of our control. And I want to help people, empower people to create and create environments and take as much control as they can, so they can feel safe, seen, soothed, and secure more times than not, because that is what helps create a healthy nervous system and integration, and that ripples in every relationship and system we interact in. So thank you so much for listening. I would love if you would subscribe and share. Um, and as I mentioned, you could buy my book on my website. Um, and I feel free to share a question if there's something you want to ask. I'm not quite adept to answer live, but if you put it, you send it to me or put it in the message, I promise I will get to it. And because I want to show up for you all too, no matter where you're at, and weave that in. So thank you for listening. Take wonderful care.